Why was Prince Edward accused of demeaning the monarchy? What does he have to say about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's move to California? And just how involved in the royal family is he? Keep watching to find out. Prince Edward is the youngest of Queen Elizabeth's children and was born 16 years after his oldest brother, Prince Charles. Third in line to the crown when he was born, Prince Edward's childhood was, of course, privileged and unique. After graduating from Cambridge, he followed his father and older brother's military footsteps and joined the Royal Marines. In September 1983, the men in the British royal family have traditionally served in the military, but after 4 months of training in the Royal Marines, Prince Edward knew that the military wasn't the right career path for him and decided to leave rather than finish the year-long commando training. On January 12, 1987, Buckingham Palace released a formal announcement that said Prince Edward has decided to resign from the Marines. Edward leaves the Marines with great regret, but has concluded that he does not wish to make the service his long-term career. Prince Edward got a lot of flack in the press for not finishing his training, but the Associated Press reported at the time that a poll had concluded that 81% of British people felt for Edward and believed he should do what was right for his own life. After stepping down from the Royal Marines, Prince Edward pivoted and started building a career in the entertainment industry. He had always loved the performing arts and participated in plays in college, so deciding to pursue this was a natural fit. However, his first foray as a producer didn't exactly go as planned. It's a Knockout was a popular BBC competition game show in which two different teams dressed up in silly costumes and played games against each other. Prince Edward had the idea to include the royal family in a special edition of the programme It's a Royal Knockout to raise money for charity. Prince Edward, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson each coached a different team of celebrities. The teams competed against each other and raised money for 4 different charities. In total, the event raised £1.5 million and 18 million people watched, according to The Independent.
I only hope that you've enjoyed yourselves. Have you?
While that sounds like a massive success, the press was not kind. The Independent had some harsh words about the show, writing, "The young royals inadvertently mocked the real costumes and ceremonies of their own House of Windsor. The public was not used to seeing the royal family goof around, even if it was for a good cause, and the consensus was that the show had demeaned the monarchy." Recovering from the bad press from It's a Royal Knockout, Prince Edward decided to take an entry-level job at a production company so he could learn from the ground up. In 1988, he was hired as a production assistant with Andrew Lloyd Webber's theatre company. Really useful. According to the BBC, as a production assistant, he did small, menial jobs around the office, which included making tea. This wasn't the first time that Prince Edward had met and worked with Andrew Lloyd Webber. 2 years earlier, in 1986, he commissioned a short musical called Cricket from Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice as a birthday present for the Queen. It was performed at Windsor Castle and featured an impressive cast and crew of theatre artists. The show has only been performed twice since then, although Webber did adapt several songs from the musical into his other work. Prince Edward spent 2 years working at Really Useful and then left to form his own theatre production company with a few friends. But the theatre business proved difficult and the company closed in debt. So, in 1993, Prince Edward decided to pivot into television and founded Ardent Productions, according to The Guardian. Ardent Productions did not have a specific production focus. Instead, they produced everything from soap operas to documentaries. The most successful project that Ardent made was a documentary about Edward VIII, the former King of England who abdicated the crown in 1938. That film, Edward on Edward, sold worldwide and was quite popular in the United States. Ardent Productions continued to produce a wide variety of television shows and specials throughout the 1990s. Not only was 1993 a pivotal year in Prince Edward's professional life, but it was also fundamental in his personal life. He met and began dating his future wife, Sophie Rhys-Jones. While Prince Edward was a professional and not a working member of the royal family, he did have some philanthropic royal duties, which included the Prince Edward Summer Challenge for charity. The challenge was to play Prince Edward's favourite sport, real tennis, for as long as possible. At the time, Rhys-Jones was working as a young public relations professional and was helping out with a promotional shoot for the event. She stepped in to pose with Prince Edward for pictures during the shoot, and the couple quickly hit it off. They started dating soon after. Of course, there was a media frenzy when the press discovered that Sophie and Prince Edward were dating. In December of that year, Prince Edward sent a formal letter to the press begging for their privacy. According to the New York Times, he wrote, "I am taking this unusual step of writing to you directly in the hope of stopping your reporters and photographers from destroying that part of my life that I am entitled to regard as private, and more importantly, Sophie's life. Please, will you call an end to your harassment of both Sophie and me and allow us to try to carry on our lives as normal?"
We've been subjected to massive intrusion and all the rest of it, and we all deal with it in different ways.
Prince Edward proposed to Sophie in December 1998, after the couple had been together for 5 years. Acknowledging that the couple had been together for a long time, Judy Parkinson, author of Edward and Sophie, A Royal Wedding, recounted that Prince Edward had said, "It's impossible to understand why it has taken me this long, but I don't think it would have been right before." And I don't think she would have said yes. The couple opted for a simpler wedding, by royal standards. They got married in St George's Chapel, the venue in Windsor, where Prince Harry and Meghan Markle would get married in 2018. The ceremony took place at 5 p.m, and the dress code was relaxed, clarifying that the guests did not need to wear hats. 550 guests attended the ceremony and reception. Rhys-Jones wore a long-sleeved ivory dress designed by Stephanie Shaw and a diamond tiara lent to her by the Queen. When he and Sophie Rhys-Jones married, Prince Edward received the official title Earl of Wessex, and Sophie became Countess of Wessex. This was a bit strange for 2 reasons. His brothers had been named dukes when they married, and the title Earl of Wessex had been out of use for a little over 900 years. The explanation for the unusual title was a sentimental and simple one. Prince Edward was quite close with his father, Prince Philip, and the palace announced that the plan was for him to eventually inherit the title of Duke of Edinburgh. According to Vanity Fair, the palace explained at the time, the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh and the Prince of Wales have also agreed that the Prince Edward should be given the Dukedom of Edinburgh in due course, when the present title now held by the Prince Philip eventually reverts to the crown. Prince Philip passed away in 2021, but the title will not revert to the crown until Prince Charles becomes king. Ardent Productions continued to make documentaries and television shows throughout the 90s and early 2000s, but never had a big hit. The company failed to ever turn a profit, and in 2002, Prince Edward decided to step down. Sophie had left her public relations job a year earlier, after a scandal in which she said several disparaging things about a variety of British politicians and royals, whilst she was unknowingly recorded by a News of the World reporter pretending to be a sheik. No longer working professionals, Prince Edward and Sophie then began their careers as working royals. 2002 was the year of the Queen's Golden Jubilee, the 50th anniversary of her coronation, so there were many public events and ceremonies for them to attend. Prince Edward began also sponsoring a wide variety of charities and working as a patron for organisations like the Duke of Edinburgh's Award and the Commonwealth Games Foundation. Prince Edward and Sophie's first daughter, Louise, was born on November 8th, 2003. Prince Edward actually missed her birth. He was on an official royal trip at the time, and Sophie went into labour a month early. According to the BBC, Louise was only 4 pounds 9 ounces when she was born, and she was also born with an eye condition. But fortunately, everything turned out all right. Prince Edward and Sophie chose not to give the title Her Royal Highness to Louise, or His Royal Highness to her younger brother James, who joined the family in 2007. Nevertheless, the siblings' 18th birthdays allow them a second chance to accept HRH titles from the Queen, and the responsibilities that come with them. But Edward and Sophie's daughter appears to have simply remained Lady Louise after turning 18 in 2021, and it seems James will follow in his sister's footsteps once he becomes an adult. Ahead of Louise's birthday, Sophie herself told the Sunday Times that it would be, quote, highly unlikely for her children to ever use his or her Royal Highness titles. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle decided to step down as senior working royals and move to California, it was the beginning of simmering tensions throughout the royal family. But whatever tensions may exist, Prince Edward has repeatedly spoken about Prince Harry and Meghan's situation with empathy. He told CNN, "We've all been there before. We've all had excessive intrusion and attention in our lives.
And we've all dealt with it in slightly different ways. And listen, we wish them the very best of luck."
In the same interview, he reacted happily to the news of their daughter Lilibet's birth.
Fantastic news about the baby. That's great. I hope they'll be very happy with that.
When pressed to speak further about Meghan and Harry in an interview with the BBC, Edward simply said,
"I stay way out of it. It's much the safest place to be."
Prince Edward was very close with his father Prince Philip, who passed away on April 9th, 2021, at the age of 99. Prince Edward has been heavily involved in the Duke of Edinburgh's award, which Prince Philip himself founded in 1956.
You must miss him.
Yes. Yes.
In a heartfelt interview with CNN, Prince Edward reflected on the importance of the award and spoke about his late father, saying, "He will go down as someone who has helped millions of young adults transform themselves and develop into better people and aware citizens."
He was the sort of person that, once met, never forgotten.
Due to COVID restrictions, only 30 people could attend Prince Philip's funeral. After the ceremony, Prince Edward told CNN, "It was an experience that so many other families have had to go through during the past year or 18 months. And so in that sense, it was particularly poignant." Prince Edward's role as a down-to-earth, reserved spokesman for the royal family is expected to continue, as there are now only 7 working members of the royal family. Royal writer and journalist Penny Junor spoke to The Guardian about Prince Edward and Sophie's future as the potential faces of the British monarchy. She said, "Edward and Sophie are a very unroyal royal couple. They have no airs and graces, they are very low-key, and they don't have a sense of entitlement, so maybe we will see more of them. The public, I think, like them." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favourite royals are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.